Two people earn the same salary for 10 years. Same city, same education, same starting point. One ends the decade with a six-figure investment portfolio and real optionality. The other has a nicer apartment, a newer car, better vacations, and almost no financial leverage. No crisis caused the gap. No dramatic mistake. Just one invisible difference in how they structured their financial lives. And if you miss this difference, income alone will never save you. We've been taught a simple formula: earn more, save more, build wealth. It sounds logical, but in the US, UK, and Canada, income growth over time has not translated into widespread financial security. High earners still carry credit card balances. Professionals making six figures still feel financially tight. Raises arrive, but peace of mind doesn't. That contradiction should make you pause. If income were the real driver, anxiety would decline as salaries rise. Yet for many people, the opposite happens. The hidden variable is not earnings. It's exposure. Financial exposure determines how much risk your life structure quietly carries. And most people increase exposure automatically every time their income increases, without ever noticing they're doing it. Imagine Daniel and Marcus. Both start at $70,000 per year. Daniel upgrades quickly. Better apartment, car lease, premium subscriptions, nicer travel. Nothing irresponsible, just incremental improvements that feel earned. Marcus does something less visible. He locks his fixed expenses at a stable percentage of income and refuses to let them grow proportionally with every raise. When his salary increases, his investment contributions increase first. His lifestyle moves second, and slowly. 5 years pass, then 10. Daniel earns more than Marcus by this point. On paper, he looks ahead, but his fixed costs are high. His monthly obligations require continued high income just to maintain equilibrium. When markets dip or layoffs circulate in his industry, stress rises immediately. Marcus, meanwhile, has built a wide financial margin. His investments compound quietly. His emergency reserves create psychological stability. The income gap between them is smaller than the wealth gap, and that gap keeps widening. Here's the counterintuitive part. Wealth is less about how much you make and more about how much financial fragility you eliminate early. Fragility compounds negatively. Stability compounds positively. Most people try to maximize upside before minimizing downside. That sequence feels ambitious, but it's structurally backward. Fixed expenses are the first silent trap. Every time you raise your recurring obligations, housing, car payments, subscriptions, you reduce flexibility. Flexibility is financial oxygen. When your fixed costs consume most of your income, you lose negotiating power in your career. You tolerate environments you dislike because walking away feels dangerous. High fixed expenses quietly reduce risk tolerance. And reduced risk tolerance limits long-term opportunity. Then there's volatility exposure. During bull markets, people overestimate their skill. They concentrate investments. They chase returns. They increase speculative positions because recent performance makes risk feel safe. But volatility magnifies emotional error. When downturns arrive, and they always do, fear replaces confidence. Selling at the wrong time erases years of progress. The irony is that avoiding catastrophic mistakes often matters more than capturing extraordinary gains. Slow, broad, consistent exposure frequently outperforms emotionally driven aggression over a decade. The most underestimated factor, however, is lifestyle escalation. Every raise presents a fork in the road. Increase assets or increase visible comfort. The pull toward visible comfort is strong because spending is tied to identity. Upgrading signals progress. It reinforces a narrative of success. In status-oriented cultures, visible change feels necessary. But each upgrade raises your lifestyle floor. And once the floor rises, stepping back down feels like failure, even if it would strengthen your financial position. This is where the long game separates quietly. The individuals who build durable wealth often tolerate looking unchanged while their income rises. They delay visible upgrades. They allow compounding to work in the background before signaling success externally. It doesn't feel dramatic. In fact, it often feels anticlimactic. But the mathematics beneath it are powerful. Early invested dollars have disproportionate impact. Consider this carefully. Investing $1,500 per month at a moderate long term Return for 10 years produces a result that surprises most people when they finally calculate it. The growth isn't explosive in year 1 or 2. It feels slow. That's why many people interrupt it. But consistency across a decade creates a base that permanently alters trajectory. Interruptions, pausing contributions, reallocating impulsively, upgrading lifestyle too quickly break the compounding chain. And broken compounding is rarely repaired fully. There's also a psychological feedback loop that forms. When you build a margin, large emergency reserves, low fixed obligations, diversified investments, you experience lower baseline stress. Lower stress improves cognitive clarity. Clearer thinking improves professional performance. Better performance increases income. Increased income, if not absorbed by lifestyle, accelerates wealth further. Stability becomes a flywheel. In contrast, high obligations increase stress. Stress narrows thinking. Narrow thinking reduces long-term decision quality. Most financial advice focuses on tactics. Which stock? Which side hustle? Which strategy? But tactics applied to a fragile structure don't hold. Architecture determines outcome. If your cost base is heavy, your volatility exposure high, and your lifestyle constantly expanding, higher income will simply scale complexity. And your lifestyle constantly expanding, higher income will simply scale complexity. If your structure is stable, even modest income can build meaningful wealth over time. The uncomfortable truth is that consumer systems are optimized to encourage exposure expansion, easier credit, seamless upgrades, frictionless checkout, social comparison amplified through digital feeds. The environment nudges toward higher spending velocity, not higher asset accumulation. Resisting that current doesn't require extreme minimalism. It requires conscious limits, predefined ceilings, automatic investing that happens before discretionary spending adjusts. You don't need to eliminate enjoyment. You need to reverse the order. Invest first, upgrade second, cap fixed costs, limit speculative exposure to a contained percentage. Measure progress quarterly, not daily, to avoid emotional reaction to short-term volatility. These decisions sound simple, but their power lies in repetition over years. 10 years from now, your income will likely be higher than it is today. That's the predictable part. What's uncertain is whether that higher income will produce freedom or just a more expensive version of the same pressure. The difference won't be intelligence. It won't be luck. It will be how much exposure you allowed into your financial life. While no one was paying attention, wealth rarely forms from dramatic breakthroughs. It forms from structural restraint, applied consistently while others scale. Obligations to match earnings. If you feel financially busy but not financially secure, that tension is worth examining. Because the question isn't whether you can earn more. It's whether your current architecture allows wealth to survive once you do. And once you see that clearly, you stop chasing income alone. You start designing stability. That shift doesn't look impressive in the short term, but over a decade, it quietly changes everything. Before we end, step back and look at the bigger picture. The difference between financial pressure and financial freedom rarely announces itself in a single decision. It hides inside small, reasonable upgrades. A slightly higher rent, a slightly nicer car, a slightly larger monthly obligation that feels harmless because your income can handle it. Individually, none of those choices ruin you. Collectively, they decide your future. 10 years from now, your salary will likely be higher. Your skills will improve. Your experience will compound. The real question is whether your financial structure will allow that growth to turn into leverage, or whether it will simply inflate your lifestyle to match it. Income growth without structural discipline creates a treadmill. Structural discipline without dramatic income growth still creates progress. That's the asymmetry most people miss. If you reduce fragility first, everything else becomes easier. Career risks feel safer. Market downturns feel survivable. Unexpected expenses feel manageable. You make decisions from stability instead of fear. And decisions made from stability tend to be smarter, calmer, and more profitable over time. So here's the quiet test. If your income disappeared tomorrow, how long would your current structure protect you? If that question makes you uncomfortable, that's not failure. That's awareness. And awareness is where design begins. The goal isn't to look wealthy. It's to become structurally unshakable. Because once your financial life is built on stability instead of expansion, Compounding finally works the way it's supposed to, slowly, invisibly, and then all at once. And that's when income stops being your lifeline and starts being your accelerator.